There is a kind of relationship that does not make you wait by the phone. They text when they say they will. They show up. They are not a puzzle. They do not disappear and reappear like the weather. They are simply there. And something about that makes you nervous. Not the obvious kind of nervous, not excited butterflies. Something quieter and more unsettling. A low-grade unease you cannot quite explain. A feeling that this is too easy. That the calm is somehow a warning. That the other shoe is going to drop. It always drops, so you wait for it. You look for the cracks. You find yourself bracing before anything has broken. You hold your breath during the good moments, because in your experience, good moments are just the pause before the fall. You know this person is kind. You can see it. You can list it. Patient, consistent, emotionally present. Your mind can acknowledge all of it. And still, your body is not convinced. This is not a character flaw. This is not proof that you are broken, or that you are self-sabotaging, or that you do not deserve love. This is something older than thought, something written into you before you had the language to question it. Today we are going to talk about why safe love can feel so strange, why calm can feel like absence, why someone who is genuinely present can feel less real than someone who kept you guessing, why the nervous system, in its ancient and imperfect wisdom, sometimes cannot tell the difference between danger and desire, and why that confusion is not your fault, but it is something you can begin to understand, because what was learned by the body can slowly be relearned. To understand what is happening, we have to go somewhere that most people would not expect, not to your last relationship, not to the argument you had, or the person who left, or the one who said they would stay and did not. We have to go back further, to before any of that, to the very first thing your body ever had to learn. Attachment research, built on decades of careful observation by figures like John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, begins with something almost brutally simple. The first person you ever loved was not a romantic partner. It was whoever kept you alive. Before love meant anything emotional, it meant regulation. It meant warmth when you were cold, presence when you were afraid, a voice that organized the chaos of being a new creature in a world you did not yet understand. And here is the part that matters. The attachment system does not care whether that regulation was consistent or not. It adapts. That is actually what it is designed to do. It observes the environment it is placed in, and it builds a strategy. If closeness was reliable, if the person came when you called, stayed when you needed them, and did not make you pay emotionally for wanting their attention, the nervous system learned something profound. It learned that closeness is safe. That need is okay. That love arrives without requiring you to earn it under pressure. But if closeness was unpredictable, if love sometimes came and sometimes did not, if presence was conditional, if comfort depended on something you could not quite control, the nervous system learned a different lesson. It learned to be ready, always scanning, always watching, always preparing for the moment the warmth disappears. Not because anything is currently wrong, but because historically things go wrong, and the body does not forget history. Here is what that looks like inside a relationship. Someone is good to you, genuinely good, and you find yourself doing something strange. You are looking for the catch. You analyze their words a little too carefully. You read the tone of a text message for hidden meaning. You notice when they seem slightly quieter than usual, and your body registers that quiet like a sound. You wait. You watch. You are on alert in a situation that, by all external evidence, does not require alertness. And then comes the shame about the alertness, because you know this person is safe. You know it rationally. You have told yourself 100 times. And still the scanning continues, quiet and relentless, like a program running in the background that you cannot close. This is not paranoia. This is pattern recognition. The nervous system is extraordinarily good at learning patterns. And if the pattern it learned, the one it internalized years before you were old enough to evaluate it, is that love is followed by loss, that closeness is followed by distance, that the good moments are what you borrow before repayment is demanded, then of course it will try to protect you. Of course it will scan. Of course it will feel like something is wrong when nothing is wrong. Because in its experience, that is exactly when something was about to go wrong. But here's the part most people miss. The nervous system is not only looking for danger in safe relationships, it is also looking for familiarity. And those two things, familiar and safe, are not the same. They can overlap, but they often do not. If your nervous system grew up in emotional chaos, inconsistency, unpredictability, love that came with conditions attached, then chaos may have become the baseline. Not because you enjoy suffering, but because the body uses familiarity as a proxy for safety. What is familiar feels known. What is known feels, on some level, navigable. Even if what is known is painful, at least you know the shape of the pain. At least you know what to brace for, a relationship built on tension and uncertainty, on hot and cold, on longing and waiting, on the relief that floods through you when they finally come back. That relationship may feel intensely alive. Your body knows exactly where it is inside that dynamic. It has the map. But a relationship that is calm, consistent, and steady, that map does not exist yet. And the unfamiliar, even when it is good, can feel like danger. Not intellectually, but in the body, in the quiet hum of unease that settles in when things are going too smoothly. This is where the confusion begins. The mind says, this is good. The body says, this is strange. And we are trained, most of us, to trust the body, especially about love, especially about desire. We have been told our whole lives to follow what we feel, but sometimes what we feel is not the truth of the moment. Sometimes what we feel is the echo of a much older moment. Let us be honest about what this costs. Not in a dramatic way, in the quiet, everyday way that this kind of confusion seeps into a life. You are with someone kind, and you cannot fully receive the kindness, not because you do not want it, but because some part of you is always waiting for it to be revoked, and receiving it fully would mean trusting that it will stay. And trusting that feels like a risk too big to take. So you hold a piece of yourself back, not consciously, but there is a small internal distance you maintain, like keeping one foot out of the water just in case. You may find yourself creating conflict where there is none, picking at something that does not need to be picked at, not out of cruelty, but because tension feels more familiar than peace. Because conflict at least makes sense to your nervous system. It knows how to be in conflict. It has been in conflict. Conflict is the shape of what it learned love looks like. You may find yourself slightly bored by someone who's genuinely good to you. Not because they are boring, but because your body has been calibrated to feel something, and to feel alive, in the presence of uncertainty. And certainty, however nourishing, does not produce the same chemical cascade. Attachment researchers have observed that for people with a history of inconsistent attachment, the unpredictable partner often registers as more attractive, more magnetic, more alive. Not because they are, but because they trigger the same nervous system activation, the same heightened attention, the same hypervigilance, the same biological urgency that the body once associated with love. The calm partner does not produce that activation, so the calm partner can feel, mysteriously, like less, not less of a person, less of a feeling. And somewhere along the way, we confuse the feeling with the truth. We live inside a world that makes this confusion much worse. Modern relationships are built for ambiguity. Texting that can be read but not answered. Stories that can be watched without a word. The three-dot ellipsis that appears, disappears, and takes a piece of your breath with it. The person who shows up fully for 2 weeks and then becomes somehow less available, not gone enough to grieve, but not present enough to trust. The nervous system that grew up scanning for inconsistency is exquisitely calibrated for this world. It notices everything, every shift in tone, every delayed response, every time the energy changes in a way that cannot quite be named. And inside that kind of dynamic, the one filled with ambiguity and almost, and I'm not sure where this is going, the body is lit up, alert, searching, waiting for resolution. That activation can feel like desire. That alertness can feel like chemistry. That relief when they finally respond can feel, in the body, like love. But it may not be love. It may be the temporary end of a threat. It may be the exhale after the held breath. It may be the nervous system settling, just briefly, before it starts scanning again. And when we bring all of that nervous system history, into a relationship with someone safe, someone who does not manufacture that activation, who does not trigger that particular cascade, the body does not always know what to do. It searches for the tension. It cannot find it. And in the absence of tension, it sometimes decides something must be missing. There is a response to all of this that seems like wisdom but is not. It looks like becoming harder. After enough confusion, after enough disappointment, after realizing too many times that the people who made you feel the most were also the ones who cost you the most, some part of you may decide to stop feeling so much. To become strategic. To treat the nervous system activation not as information, but as a trap to avoid. You may become more careful about who you let in. More measured, more controlled. You stop chasing intensity, not because you have healed, but because you are protecting yourself from your own responses. And for a while, this can feel like growth. But emotional shutdown is not the same as emotional safety. Not feeling much is not the same as not hurting. A body that has learned not to open is not a body at peace. It is a body that has decided the cost of opening is too high to risk. Some people stay there. They cycle through relationships where they remain slightly above the feeling, slightly removed, slightly in control. And they call this wisdom. They call it standards. They call it knowing their worth. But what they are actually living in is a different kind of loneliness. The loneliness of never being fully reached. The loneliness of connection that happens at a safe enough distance to avoid the old pain, but not close enough to actually nourish. The goal is not to become unreachable. The goal is to become safe. Inside your own body, inside your own life, so that you can stay open without disappearing, so that you can receive love without your nervous system reading it as a threat. Those are very different destinations. And then there is the question underneath all the others. What if it ends? Not the abstract statistical possibility of it, the felt one, the one your body has already been running through before you are even sure you like someone. The internal simulation of how you would survive the loss. For many people who have known abandonment, whether sudden or slow, dramatic or quiet, there is a preemptive grief that travels with every connection. A constant background awareness that this too could go away, that what feels safe now has no guarantee attached. And so you do not quite let yourself in. You hold the good thing a little at arm's length, so that if it disappears, it will not take everything with it. This makes a tragic kind of sense. If losing love once destabilized you completely, if it reorganized the way you moved through a day, the way you slept, the way you understood yourself, then of course you would try to protect yourself from that happening again. Of course you would keep one part of yourself detached. Of course you would scan for the exit before you have even settled in. But here is something worth sitting with. The detachment does not prevent the loss. If the relationship ends, it ends whether you held yourself back or not. The only thing the detachment prevents is the fullness of the experience. You lose both ways, but only one way do you actually get to live in the love while it lasts. And more than that, the person who is most devastated when love goes is not the one who loved fully. It is the one who built their inner stability around another person, who made someone else the center of their own regulation, who did not maintain any roots of their own while the love was growing. This is what it means to find safety inside yourself. Not coldness, not independence as a defense, not never needing anyone. It means having enough inner ground to stand on that if someone leaves, you are not taken with them. You grieve, yes. You feel, yes. But you do not dissolve. You do not disappear. You do not lose the thread back to yourself. That is the kind of safety that makes it possible to love without bracing. to receive without waiting for the revocation, to stay present in the good moments without your body treating them as borrowed time. This is where science and something almost like hope arrive at the same place. What the nervous system learns, it can also unlearn, slowly, imperfectly. Not through willpower and not through deciding to think differently, but through new experiences that accumulate over time, through relationships, including the one with yourself, that demonstrate over and over again that closeness is survivable, that calm is not the same as absence, that peace is not the pause before the fall. Researchers who study earned security, the gradual shift toward stable attachment through corrective experience, describe something that sounds almost impossible and turns out to be deeply ordinary. People change, not completely, not without effort, not without some grief for the strategies they have to let go of. But the nervous system is not stone. It is more like water. It has been shaped by the container it grew in, but it can take a new shape given time and a different container. Every moment you let kindness land, it teaches the body something. Every time you notice the urge to create conflict and choose to stay in the peace instead, it teaches the body something. Every time you feel the familiar unease inside something safe, and instead of fleeing, you stay and breathe and let the strangeness be strange without acting on it. The body is learning, slowly, without fanfare. This is not a dramatic transformation. This is ordinary, quiet, internal work. The kind that does not look like anything from the outside, but changes everything from the inside. And what makes us different, what allows for this at all, is exactly what you may have forgotten in the middle of all the feeling. We are not only our instincts. We are the ones who can see the instincts, name them, understand where they come from, and choose, not always, not perfectly, but sometimes, to act from somewhere other than the oldest layer of fear. The animal that runs from safety cannot reflect on why it runs. You can. So maybe this is where we land, not in a place of radical self-reinvention, not in a declaration that you will never feel the pull of the familiar, however painful, not in the pretense that the nervous system's old learning simply evaporates once you understand it, but in something quieter than all of that. The understanding that the unease you feel in calm love is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is new, and new for a body that has been shaped by inconsistency can feel like danger before it learns to feel like safety. The understanding that you do not have to become cold to become wise, that you do not have to shut down to protect yourself, that the opposite of being consumed by love is not indifference. It is having enough self inside yourself that love does not have to be your only ground. The understanding that a relationship being stable does not mean it lacks depth. That a person who stays is not less interesting than one who kept you guessing. That peace, however unfamiliar, however strange it feels in the body, is not something you have to distrust. And the understanding that mature love, the kind that asks you not to disappear into it, but to grow alongside it, is not a lesser thing than intensity. It is a different thing, a longer thing, a thing that holds not by creating panic, but by creating presence. This love does not need to flood the nervous system to prove it is real. It proves it is real by still being there in the morning. And slowly, not all at once, not without difficulty, not without some grief, the body can learn that too. Not every good thing announces itself with thunder. Some arrive quietly, with patience, and stay. And the body, if we let it, will eventually learn the difference.